For me, this is the core of the problem, because what we see out there is something, an agenda, offering an artificial technological hive mind to replace and substitute the natural connectivity we used to have before we were expelled from paradise. It's kind of, we were there, we were like a swarm of fish or a swarm of birds being in this beautiful pattern of coordinated life, and then someone threw a hand grenade into it, and suddenly everyone swims into his own direction, banging the heads against each other in panic, and we get there and call it free will. Fucking hell, this is madness, because free will is not an achievement, it's a state of panic.
And parasitic, actually, of repeating pattern of free will, right?
Yeah. Nothing is free about it.
Voel de kracht van Simos. Ga naar mijnmineraal.com om meer te leren en te ervaren hoe Simos jouw welzijn kan transformeren.
Amen. Today, hello everyone. We're here with another Value Versus podcast. I'm here with Wouter, and we have a special guest today, Harald Kautz. I've been researching him the last months. I came into contact with him, and it's time for you to also get in contact with him, because he really activated my heart chakra and many things else just today and days and months and weeks before. So give a like and subscribe, join the tribe. We got beautiful tea, we got coconut milk, we got the real talk today, the value versus is in the right spells for you to get back on the right track with life. Amen. So I got Wouter with me because he was the one who initiated this all, and he's also going to introduce him, what he's doing, and because what Harald is actually doing is we're healing humanity in its core, I guess. That's why. Let's go and make a magnificent podcast.
Thank you for having me as your co-host. So we are not so far away from Hamburg. We're in Germany, so it's value versus on the road. Don't forget about that. I know Harald. Well, I know him from YouTube from around 2017, I think. Then it was pre the sea pandemic and stuff, so we were looking for lots of truth, but not so many people. And the things that he brought back then were, for real truth seekers then, already pretty shocking. The chemtrail thing, more people were busy with that. But then he came with the Morgellons and the black goo. And that was something completely...
This is what,
out of the box. Yeah. I can say that the first video I watched, I fully watched it because it was so much to take in, and I needed to take it someplace. But now, after all these years, of course, everyone evolved. So that's the same with Harald. So let's the show
so
go
let's
on.
get the party started. You know what, Harald is doing free energy research for like 20-30 years now, I guess. And now the last 10 years, he has been fully healing people and going into self-healing and for the people to take full responsibility. This is where this podcast is also going to be about. But we're first going to start about this transhumanistic technologies that we are all injecting in, like Morgellons, chemtrails, jabs. When we talk about the corona irony, we talk it like that as the corona irony as the word, right? Then we also have the radiation that comes from all these materials and this graphene oxide and many things that we might not know, but you'd know. And the question is, how do we detox from it in the right way? We have timeloopsolution.com. Let's say you buy all the products from there. How would that be the right way to approach from there?
I mean, you always have two options. You can take in the poison and then you try to detox. You're a wise man and you skip the poison, which is the more effective way to not get into deep trouble.
But chemtrails, more gallons,
Yeah, chemtrails you cannot skip because this is kind of in the open air. Morgellons are also everywhere, so you cannot be not infected. But you can avoid having an overgrowth of them. You can keep your body in a shape that the immune system is properly dealing with the problem.
Okay.
And this mainly is about the choice whether you want to take in the toxic supplies from the system, what you get in a normal supermarket, or if you decide to buy a decent bioquality or grow your own food in the garden. If you drink water or if you drink Coca-Cola, it's a big choice, you know. If you go to McDonald's and eat human flesh.
Yes. You make me, I'm 7 years vegan, but how you like tell it to the people? Why not meat? You don't need meat, right?
For me, my explanation and my decision making comes from a very simple point. If you look at carnivores in nature, they are depending on being without compassion. Because if they would be, they could not kill. Yeah? So it's a need of nature that is supplied by the food you eat. If you eat meat, you need the ability to kill, which means that meat is switching off a certain spectrum of compassion. And if once you're there, basically you're a killer. And this is what society is reflecting. It's not just that we have the animals killed to get them on our plates. We also kill each other. And the moment you skip that, you stop eating meat, it takes like half a year, 3/4 of a year. And then suddenly your system is reactivating compassion. Yeah? And then you go into a normal supermarket and you just pass by the shelf with the meat, and suddenly the pain of the killed cells kicks into your system and drops you off your feet. And then next time you go to the supermarket, you avoid that place because it's hardly possible to handle the pain that
feels dirty also, it's
all sorts of things.
And only the smell of it.
The smell of it.
But when it's on the barbecue, it's good. Or
yeah, but those are the herbs.
and doing the job I do now, like guiding by my compassion, guiding people through their healing processes, capable of having a full picture of them being displayed in my body so that I can exactly say, here's the trauma, here's the opening, that is the path, try this or try that. It needs an extreme amount of compassion to be capable of perceiving the flow of emotions and thoughts of other people. And this is kind of what it needs for being part of the collective, coming back into a collective hive mind that is natural. And this, for me, this is the core of the problem, because what we see out there is something, an agenda, offering an artificial technological hive mind to replace and substitute the natural connectivity we used to have before we were expelled from paradise. Yeah, it's kind of, we were like a swarm of fish or a swarm of birds being in this beautiful pattern of coordinated life. And then someone threw a hand grenade into it. And suddenly everyone swims into his own direction, banging the heads against each other in panic. And we get there and call it free will. Fucking hell, you know. This is madness, because free will is not an achievement, it's a state of panic.
And parasitic, actually, of repeating pattern of free will, right?
Yeah. Nothing is free about it.
But also because we are infected by these transhumanistic technologies, and like, for example, a lot of people took the jabs and the corona, they followed it. When I listen to your previous lectures, like, the people are lost, but is there still a way for them to regain their emotional bodies or to regain their soul, even if they took 3 of them? Or
let's take it step by step, because corona is the coronation. It is the last step of a long process of assimilation. And I think it's wise to first understand the lower levels of interfaces smuggled into the human body, to understand how can we be read and rewritten as a biorobot, because the coronation is kind of the last step that involves very advanced levels of physics. And the other levels are rather simple to understand. Rather simple. I mean, it needs some understanding of advanced physics, but you can do it in one session. Understanding kind of quantum coherence in a D-wave computer is a bit more complicated. Yeah. This is what it needs to fully understand what corona is, because this is communication on genetic level.
Yeah, with towers of radiation also, right? Or
no, radiation is the simple part. The quantum coherence of all individuals in one computer is the complicated one.
Ooh.
And this is what the genetic access of the jabs to the human genome are about. To install something in the genetic setup that communicates our core essence of being into the realm of computers, into the technological hive mind. This is far beyond human technology, if you really look.
This is alien technology from the spider-like beings then you're...
Yeah, spider is not actually alien, it's just advanced. I would call it satanic. Satanic technology, because this is the core entity that is driving this agenda. And he's utilizing, because Satan is a demiurge, he's a non-incarnated planetary spirit that is highly traumatized. So he's utilizing the way of living, the way of consciousness a planet is, being a hive mind.
What is specifically a hive mind?
Hive mind is like you have the bees. You could have a nice little chat with one bee, asking her how the last flower was. But if you really want to communicate with bees, you communicate with the entire collective of one hive. So, so this level of consciousness is the hive mind, and a planetary consciousness has the quality of being a hive mind because it's hosting many individuals in one consciousness. And if you have a traumatized planetary spirit, that is completely traumatized down to his mental field, then you have that hive quality from the planetary sphere, but reduced to the mental makes it to something that is identical with AI, physically identical, functioning in a very similar way. So it's a complete mistake that humanity invented computers. It's the other way around. The satanic hive mind degraded humanity to the point where they started to believe that only the mental matters, because the rest was equally traumatized down to nothing in most of the individuals. And then we come to the conclusion that a computer can be more intelligent than a human. Although in reality a computer is just a binary tool that can process technological mental fields, while human heart consciousness is in a 12-star symmetry with another axis displaying the five from the dodecahedral structure. So it's an extremely complex geometric field that does not go yes, no, up, down, black, white, like language in the mental realm. It goes like, ooh, emotion. And emotion is simple compared to heart consciousness, because heart consciousness can integrate both emotion and thought into one coherent motion pattern of consciousness. And once you're there, there's no contradiction in your heart anymore. You cannot say, this lady is beautiful, but I'm married, I would like to fuck her, but I would mess with my marriage and I would hurt my children, and come into a conflict. Because in your heart, you can only be faithful, or be faithful and leave your wife because it's over. Yeah? One or the other. And then you can fuck whomever you want, but there's no internal struggle possible, because it's one field with one singular coherence. This is the quality of heart consciousness. You never hesitate what to do, you just know it.
Can I come back to the binary code of the computers? If you see how this universe is built, it's also electromagnetic. So you have a positive force and a negative force. Put that between the lights. And with those two forces, you start the torus field, and everything creates from that. So if we can call the universe binary, how should we as people could invent something more complex than the environment where we live in? I think the environment is always complexer than what that we people with our limited consciousness
going in the
can invent.
Where do you see the universe being initiated by something binary?
Well, because it's electromagnetic. So
but that's only one aspect.
You have two forces, yeah, but everything, the rest comes further from those two forces. Or am I wrong about that?
You can basically get the basis of number magics from the global scaling theory, and you have kind of layers of orders based on the prime numbers.
Yes.
Yeah. You have the 1, you have the 2. When you limit your scope there, then you are in that binary universe. But the 3 is also the foundation of an internal system. The 4 not. The 5 is a foundation. The 7 is a foundation, and the 11.
5D, you mean then, or 1D?
No. It's if you want to picture it in rotational symmetries.
Yes.
A rotational symmetry defines a number. It's the only reference point where you can, out of geometry, create numbers. Is rotational symmetry, because it's completely scale invariant. It doesn't matter how big you draw the picture. A circle has always 360 degrees, and you can go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps around the circle to get where you started. This is what is defining the quality of a number. It's always the rotational symmetry. Yes. And this is what you find in bioenergetic fields as well. You have the mental sphere and blue light that is binary. You have the heart chakra and the crown chakra that have a 12er symmetry. You have the lower emotional chakras that have the 3 and the 6. You have the instinct kind of base chakra that has the 4. And all those go into the 12. You can divide 12 by 2, 4, 3, and 6. So this is what the heart can integrate. And if you look at the heart chakra in 3D, you have another axis that is a little bit bent over to the 12 or to the 6, which is the 5 in the dodecahedron. And the 5 corresponds with the solar plexus. And this is actually the numerological foundation of what we experience, because the 12 star, which actually is a 36 because it goes around 3 times on different layers, the 12 star is representing the spiritual realm. And the 5 star, every rotational pattern of the inner atomic order as well as the solar system, expresses itself in the 5 symmetry. This is the material plane.
As the dance of Venus.
Yeah. And the 5 and the 12 do not divide. They are independent systems. This is why spirit can experience itself in a material plane as an independent system from the material one. Yeah? The 12 is experiencing itself in the 5. If it would be dividable, it could not perceive itself in it. This is kind of the core magic of existence, just derived from the numbers. And it's beautiful. And this is why the most holistic expression of spirit is in the heart consciousness, because it involves the entire 12 and the lower emotion and the mental representation of things is a fully integrated part of heart consciousness. So this is where we normally should be centered, and then we can express ourselves by philosophy, thought, by arts, singing using the throat chakra, or by intimacy with the sacral chakra, or with creativity from the sacral chakra, or being whatever the red Indian shaman that is expressing the very low vibrations of Gaia, singing ritual songs, expressing the earthbound qualities. But it's all kind of
from the heart
coming from the heart, being integral part of heart consciousness, creating this beauty of expression in a fully integrated, holistic existence. This is what we can achieve. What we do is waste our lives in university to dive into this illusion of being capable of displaying everything in a binary code.
And this is what the question was from Wouter, right? Like where we all get into the binary structure of this laptop, kids get grown up now fully with the universities, going to school, they program us to get the diploma,
Yeah, but it's an old story. The binary is here for ages.
Yes.
Yeah, we used to live in a creation, and then at a certain point, very early, kind of the blue split off and got substructures. And this is where kind of matrix programming came into the game. And it's a layered system. It's an age-old thing. It's not like something that evolved with the computer era. Matrix is a bug in creation that was intentionally set to be capable of creating realms with more possibilities, because heart consciousness is always in harmony. So it's limiting the possibilities of what you can do. This is kind of the Luciferian boredom that was leading to the revolution of let's create more exciting worlds without the limitation of we need to stay in a harmonic hive-mind relationship with each other.
So someone is experiencing, right, in the end there, behind the back.
Someone said, I can make that better than Source. And Source said, I want to see that. And he gave green light, because maybe he was a little bit bored himself, I don't know. Or he wanted to experience more things. And the little problem is that we ended up torturing ourselves to death. And to an extent where even that torture is getting boring. Yeah, I had enough of that for all lifetimes. Yeah? Seeing it, doing it, seeing the the hard way out of it again. When you see what the full dedication to the binary, which is black magic at the end of the day, control systems, what amounts of suffering it was leading to. This is sheer pain and endless pain. And when you look at it after it has established itself, doesn't make sense at all, but it's fucking hard to get out of it.
And yes, is it because consciousness fractals down it's get limited, and that's why we have lesser possibilities that we go to more evil things, or
No, we have more possibilities. It's fractaling. Is it fractaling down? No, it's not a function of fractaling. Fractals normally integrate qualities. They just spread information over space and time. This is the function of fractals.
In geometry, geometry, it goes perfect down and perfect up, like the pentagram and the Fibonacci spiral and so. But
it's more about
nature.
The origin. What we found out in, or maybe I should first share how we find out things. We do personal coachings for self-healing processes, and sometimes a personal process is leading to collective problems. And then aspects that are relevant in the collective realm, if you work with constellation work, suddenly get their own voice and their own will and their own dynamic in a constellation room. And then you can observe things, aspects of the collective spirit, solving their own problems. And then you learn about what type of structure actually we are embedded in. This is how we learn. And the thing that for me seems fundamental to the problem we have is that kind of the material plane, when it comes into existence, it actually starts from DNA. DNA is the first material thing to become real. And DNA forms clusters in space, and from there you get the projection of life, kind of the life force field being projected by a holographic screening process. And this is splitting the white light of creation into colorful spectrums that we experience as auratic. Like the aura has all colors of the rainbow. And the DNA is actually what is spreading the colors in the space. So in a very early stage of creation, you have that thing happening that each color that is fragmented through this process can experience itself as an entity. It's a very fundamental spiritual awareness process that has no individualization in fractal cycles. There's no mother-son, grandchild relationship. It is just a color that has properties of a being because it can experience itself apart from red, apart from green, apart from yellow, because it's not yellow, it's not green, it's not red. But they all can experience each other in the divine spark in the middle, which we would call opal, because it's white, including all colors. Yeah? And then the first hack into this reality was done by an entity, a spirit, a created being that in our realm comes with the name Yaldabaoth.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like a jellyfish-like entity that managed to do a very skilled, intelligent hack into the genetic system, because he found one quality of the genetics which was causing the spirit to experience pain when he faced mental incoherence. Like when you look at the realm you're in and you see two facts that contradict each other. You say either this can be or that can be. If you try to take both things for real at the same time, although they're in contradiction, in nature this is painful to the brain. This is a core quality of incarnating consciousness. And what Yaldabaoth did, he hacked that genetic sequence. And he embedded 2 little blocks in front and after that sequence to isolate it. So whenever you meet incoherence of the understanding of the world, you will be dropped into that pain, but you cannot feel the context of this experience anymore. You just feel pain because someone told you something, and then you can project the anger of being hurt onto the one that brought you the disturbing information, as if he was trying to hurt you. It's kind of the initial hack. And this initial hack caused blue as a color, because blue is the color of the mental perception. All mental fields are written in blue. It caused blue to become incoherent with the opal divine spark. So blue lost access to the other colors as core being. And by losing access, it got like a little bit lost in his own logic. Because for blue, everything that is logic is true. You do not have the corrective, you do not have the double checking of heart consciousness. If something is logical, for blue it is true. And this is giving blue a very high vulnerability, because it can accept everything that is logical. But what you get when you do that is a cycle.
Yeah, this is what all the people do, you mean,
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
people, they like logical
And-
choices.
And once blue was in that state, it could get binarized, and then you have an artificial structure in blue that is creating realities on the basis of solely mental perception that create sub-creations that are not in the divine order, but follow basically this Luciferian dream of creating better worlds. And those matrices are subdivided, and it's, if you look at it from above, it's like a structure of operating system, program, add-on, file, whatever. It's a hierarchy of matrices and submatrices.
So many matrices are here, actually.
Many matrices are there, and every matrix that is active is not only the consciousness riding on that fragmented blue. It is also always a living entity, a created entity with a divine spark that has committed itself to become part of that matrix. So in every matrix you find the being that has created the matrix.
Mother Gaia also connected to it, or like in this matrix, or what do you mean? The binary?
No. For those, I mean, you need to understand Satan is not any demiurge. Satan is a future timeline of Gaia after full self-destruction. So this is time toroid effect, and the baddest end of our previous history meets our past and infects ourselves. This is kind of the recursive function.
But you say that the Satan is also from another planetary consciousness coming here.
This is what we thought at the beginning, because we had scientific proof that he arrived here as a meteorite shower. But the meteorite shower, it's just a real new research. We had those stones of these meteorites in a lab, and they proved of being from Earth origin. So how can you have a meteorite shower that are bits and pieces of Gaia raining down from heaven? You know?
But that's because Satan is now healed, and that's why they...
No. This is just the physicality, where you can see that the future of that timeline of Gaia actually was transferred into the past, and then Gaia crossed the path of that fragmented leftovers of its own future raining down on her next recursion. Yeah. So this is how you get the torus structure of time.
It's
to
weird,
infect the
though,
past
but
with the results of your
yeah.
own future.
So that means in one torus field you have different Earths, and when it passes to the spiral, does the black and white hole, it crushes everything.
Don't try to picture it in the geometric realm. It doesn't work because time is
flexible also.
Flexible time. Time is not linear. You can better understand it if you compare it to the human incarnational cycle. You live through a lifetime, you come to a result, you extract that experience of your just finished lifetime and implement it into your next incarnation. Then you have a completely different starting point. Completely lose memory, go through the next experimental lifetime, see where it leads you. Then when you die, you basically harvest the emotional input that you got from that lifetime, and then you go back when you finished it into the next incarnation, and you start from a new starting point. And this is what happens with creations. You have one creation. After the creation, basically you have some form of backup of harvested consciousness, and then you start to sort that back up into qualities, and you see who wants to continue in what type of creational reality. And all the evolved, awakened spirits get something in the 7th density or 6th density in unity consciousness to continue. And then a new creation is set up. And the entire concept of time is not, when you look from that perspective, not the way it is taught in school, because time is not linear. You get a creational event, and that creation is evolving into a future and at the same time into a past. Which means the Big Bang is, if anywhere, it's always in the middle of time, not at the beginning of time, because you have both time forward fields and time backward traveling fields. So every event sends signals and is transforming both the future and the past. And then you have also two different qualities of time. You have that definition by Einstein that is giving you the space-time time, that is just a function of speed of light and time and distance. But you also have a different quality of time that is reflecting the recursive quality of nature. Like you have an event. The event is broadcasting a wave pattern to the future and to the past. Then it is transforming the past, it is transforming the future, and both the past and the future send back a signal to the point where the original signal came from. And then you get the next now. And from the next now, which is a completely new event, you again broadcast into both directions. And you change the past and change the future, and you get reflections from both past and future back into the same now. And the second quality of time is evolving in the line of new nows, which has nothing to do with the time it needs to travel into the past and into the future. It's a completely different quality of time. But human consciousness is projecting the two qualities of time on top of each other. And it's making one time experience out of it. This is why the entire physics is completely confused, because we have no clue of the fundamental ideas we work with. Yeah? Introduce two different qualities of time, and suddenly you find yourself in 4D, which is much more real than 3D. In 4D, you can easily project the toroidal time structure, which we have. So it's a much better starting point to understand physicality than the stupid things taught at university. Except of some universities. They kind of getting close to it, like quantum gravity research is quite useful.
Like that's also a question we had. There are very different sayings about 3D, 4D, 5D. Like the new wave Mambo Jumbo wants to always say, from we going to a 5D Earth. Then you have others who say, yeah, if you want to go back to source, you have not to go up in dimensions, but you have to go back to 1D or 0D. So, can you explain how the dimensions? What is your take on it? Because there are so many theories about it. It also becomes difficult.
I can walk a little bit of the way of understanding, just what is visible for me now. We have two terms that are mixed up, dimensions and densities. Most of the people don't even know that there's a difference between density and dimension. Density is kind of a spectrum of frequencies defining how high you vibrate. If you are very low energetic, you go down to the lower frequencies, and then you will attract and experience a certain quality of spiritual perceptions and encounters. So defining the densities, if you're a newborn soul and you have no clue of nothing, you will be like, oh, life is exciting, let's try this and let's try that. And you don't care shit about what you suffer from after that courageous entry, you know? But you're courageous and you have no compass at all. You take everything as it comes. Let's try this, you know? We never did it before, let's try it. I don't care about the outcome. This is third density. Fourth density is you have been there, you have messed things up, you realize the outcome is extremely painful, so you dive into complete victimhood. You say, what a terrible place, it's so painful, it's your fault, you know, I need you to rescue me. This is fourth density, complete victimhood. At the end of the day, you realize, A, it's not his fault, you messed it up yourself. B, nobody is coming to rescue you. If anything helps, you need to do it yourself. This is kind of the step into 5D. And then the path is splitting. In 5D, you have two options. Either you say, I don't care about the others, I'm going to make sure that I'm fine. This is kind of the path of the perpetrator. It doesn't give a damn about the others. He makes sure that he's okay. And the other side is the path of the savior. He goes like, oh, this is an awful place. I have to make sure that everything becomes better here, and that at the end of the day, I will prosper. I will be fine as well. If this is a good place, I will be fine. And the savior ignores his own salvation. You know, he goes all into service to others.
People pleasing then? Or no, that's not the same?
Yeah, it corresponds. Yeah, and the perpetrator is forgetting that there's a need to love and to balance things. And both concepts fail in the same manner, because it's only half of what is needed.
So it sounds we are already a long time in 5D, but in 5
density.
Density, yeah.
This is kind of the battle between good and evil is in the 5th density. The victim is low, but the three positions, victims in 4th density and perpetrator and savior in 5th density, they form the drama triangle that gives us the experience of duality. It's a learning phase.
Yes.
When you have mastered the service to self personalities and mastered the service to others personalities, you evolve into the sixth density, which we call unity consciousness, where you can observe anything without being touched by it, more than in simple compassion. You see a victim, you look at the victim, you realize, oh, he's in victimhood. And all you do is tell him, my friend, I have been there. I know how you feel.
Let's take responsibility.
If you feel like, take responsibility, take the next step. It's okay. I don't judge you. I don't try to speed up your development. But if you need a hand, I'm there for you. If you just need compassion, I'm there for you. Because I'm not scared of feeling anymore. The problem with the lower densities is that people are scared to feel something. Yeah? This is why they tend to mentalize their existence, because emotions are hard to take. When you go through the ladder and you make your steps, feeling is just a gift. And you don't even care if it's joy or pain, because both of them are the same gift.
They just like when school and the whole matrix, they shut it off, right?
They try to shut it off.
Like it's not a man to show your feelings, huh? It's
yeah, this is kind of childish.
Yeah,
but it's part of the game.
And can you? Well, I have my take now written down on it a couple of days ago. But can you tell me the difference between feelings and emotions?
Feeling is happening in the aura, in the field. It's a flow of colorful energy that feels in a certain way while it is flowing. Emotion is something that is left in your body when you refuse to feel, when you're blocked by trauma, and you could not express your feeling anymore. Then you have a biochemical signature in your body that is like a stamp of you didn't laugh for half a year because you lost the ability to laugh. And then you see a comedy and you start to laugh about something unreal, because the comedy is triggering your emotion to flow again. It's stored feeling. It's unexpressed feeling that sits in your body, waiting for an opportunity to flow again. And you can fake opportunities by utilizing whatever drama you watch to get some relief on the emotional plane. But regaining the capability of being in the full ability to feel again, you need to go to the primary cause of the traumatization and solve it there. Then the block is removed. It's always about acknowledging and re-experiencing the process of blocking that you need to deblock. And when you express the correct emotion in the full awareness of the traumatizing event, then you heal the trauma.
This is like what kind of happened today then, or
if you want to reference it in a way, yes.
Yes, and this is a hard thing to like deblock it actually, because most people are not conscious of the trauma, or it's just a
what makes
it's a tricky thing.
What makes it hard is that you memorize the feeling of the child or of the one that was traumatized in the state he was in when he was traumatized. If a child is experiencing abuse, the abuser is so powerful. Yeah? He is invincible. Yeah? And there's nothing you can do about it, and if you mess it up with him as a child, if he's your parent, you are dead. If you get angry against your parent as a little child, this is a death sentence. And the child is memorizing all the horror of being in that minor position. When you grow up, your dad is just another crook. And you can't even take him serious, so sick he is. And rebelling against him becomes possible. But the memory of not being able to fight that attack off is the memory of the child. And it appears to be too much to take. Once you're in, you're dealing with it, you're an adult, no problem. 5 minutes later, you can laugh your head off. When you stand in front of the experience, it appears to be impossible.
It's a burden.
It's just a misleading memory of your emotional body that packed the trauma into a bubble of fear, and the quality of this fear is derived from the traumatizing event. This is why it carries this extremely heavy quality of not being crossable. But this is also what makes trauma function. You're supposed to function. As a traumatized child, you need to always maneuver around the pain to be functionable. And this is what this fear does. It repels you the moment you come close to a trauma. If you look at people who are ritually abused, they are so full of trauma that the spirit goes slalom. Always around the traumas, trying to not touch them. And you can see this egg dance of moving around barriers, and you can't even follow. And then personalities swap, and one personality stops acting and another one comes in, so you have these hard cuts of personality changes, and it's hard even to listen to those people. But it's easy to understand how it functions if you know how a trauma works. It's just a traumatic emotional memory encapsulated in a ball of fear. And this is sitting in the landscape of consciousness. And in the normal routine, you maneuver around it because you're always repelled by the fear bubble. When you want to heal those things, all you need to know is that the fear is your friend. Because when you take the decision to cross through it into the trauma, you make the decision, I dive through my fear. And this decision takes you straight away into the middle of the trauma. You just utilize the same fear that normally should repel you with a clear decision to go through it as the entering portal to the solution of the trauma. This is what you find when you start working on the healing.
And this is like what you are doing right now, fully focused. Like you are doing this for lots of times now because you have hope for humanity to heal or to have a better timeline in this existence.
And therefore you also need the polarity of fear, and that is courage to take on the trauma.
You could call that courage.
Yeah.
You could call it survival instinct because of the fear is leading nowhere. Yeah. Fear is keeping us in a position where we restage, and when we restage, we self-destroy, and that it's simply not an option for me. For me, if I look at in the chronology of things, I realize that I'm capable to have compassion, but it was not unconditional. Yeah, when I wanted to feel something because it was giving me some good position in a social context, I was compassionate. When it came to being the perpetrator and feeling what I caused in others, I was a cold fish. And
you mean like scared? Or what do you mean? Like
no,
you were a coward?
An asshole.
Yeah.
A coward and an asshole. Not facing the kind of consequences of my own wrongdoings. And I was pissed off by that. I didn't want to be that. Kind of shame kicked in. And then I kind of made that decision that I want to come into the state of being unconditionally compassionate. That was the core decision. Fully conscious and unconditionally compassionate. And I started to work on it. Kind of really investing time and effort to kick everything out of my system that was in the way from getting there.
Like 40 days in a
That was kind of the
black room.
core
That was
process.
the core process.
Pulling back into my living room without food. 8 days not eating and not drinking. No, 6 days.
6 days not eating, not drinking.
Yeah.
How do you survive that? Like,
you survive. In winter and summer I wouldn't do it. In winter it was possible because you do not dehydrate.
so your body doesn't need water actually to...
You do dehydrate to a certain extent, but you survive it a couple of days. And before it's getting really toxic to the body, you detox 8 times quicker if you don't drink.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but you really should.
So 6 days, no water, no food, and then after that you dot the water.
23 or 24 days, no food, just water. And for the rest of the month, raw vegan to get back into eating.
Fully healthy is like that.
Yeah.
Raw vegan, so raw is also much more important in general than...
It was convenient to start with. You know, if you take a shitload of spaghetti with cheese after 30 days of fasting, I guess you puke.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
So you need to be careful.
Great
You start with
Wow.
some lemon or orange juice to get some acids into the stomach, and then you slowly start with lettuce
And for people to like fully heal, do they also need to go through that, you think?
No, it's just I was in a hurry.
Don't you think everyone is in a hurry? Like you say also in lectures that we are running out of time to a certain extent. We have like 5 years still to like...
No, compare it to your soul plan. If you have the feeling that your soul plan is running ahead of you, then you might come to the conclusion you're in a hurry. I had a soul plan and I was late. This is why I was in a hurry. And some people maybe are completely fine with their soul plan and they have still time to waste. We are kind of getting close to the end of a cycle. What I can see, some souls are in a hurry because they have made up their minds or their souls to reach a certain density towards the end of the cycle, because their soul plan will continue in unity consciousness. And if they're not there yet, of course, they're in a hurry.
And you right now then follow the 6th density from next phase on.
I was kind of hoping to really make it to 6th density, but the spiritual work I got involved into at a certain point.
This lifetime, you mean?
In this lifetime, we went through healing processes and experiences that were opening up even higher densities, creating completely new timelines. There's still not a choice from my end where I will continue.
So you're going 7D, 8D now.
But the density-wise, I'm aware of the existence up to 12D, which is not even describable. It's just like qualities you can access when you allow not only your higher self into your expression, if you allow your highest self. It's like the being that created the being that created you. You can open up backwards.
In 12D there.
Into levels of the entire fractal. You cannot say this is you. It's like those layers. It's like, imagine you write a book. You invent characters. If you're half done with the books, the characters are so well invented that they write themselves. You as an author, you have no control over the character, because there's only one coherent prolonging of the story you started, because the character is already in existence. This is what a good author does. He is creating entities. And they're always lower dimensional than the author himself. Yeah, if you would write a book about an author that is writing a book, you would have 3 layers of a fractal active. And the author in the book would create his own stories while you write it, because he is created and he can only produce things of a certain quality. And this is what you can imagine in the downline. If you create a personality, it is like writing a character as a child. You realize, my childhood is toxic. I'm not allowed to live in my heart consciousness, to be faithful and truthful and loving, because I wouldn't survive if I would be. So I have to invent a lying, stealing, shitting asshole to make it in this realm. And then you invent that character, and he comes into life as a personality. This is a creational process. This is downline. If you look upline, what you meet is a higher self that basically has invented all the incarnations you went through. He's taken an aspect of himself. Mostly he decides, let's try a victim aspect of myself in the next incarnation. And then he throws you into a narrative where you're victimized. And then karmically, you need to balance it, and then he throws a perpetrator incarnation. And it's all preset by the aspects.
And the perpetrator is mostly like the last thing to do. First you get a victim?
No, the first incarnation is the primary perpetrator. And you have contracted a childhood that is victimizing you just by contract, not by karma. You set your contracts to be victimized in the childhood, to be capable of producing a perpetrator narrative. And then, derived from that perpetrator, you can incarnate into all the aspects of victimhood that karmically result from that. So you have a design at the beginning, you have a choice. This is what I want to delve into, to experience. Then you set, basically by contract, the traumatization to be capable of doing something really nasty. And then you are forced to experience all...
So right now then I will also have the next life most likely with a victimhood because I was a perpetrator. Or you can fix it in the now already.
I think you have a longer history before and you just repeat aspects to look at certain qualities. Normally it's getting nastier the further you look back.
Okay. And what about like you talking about the higher souls and the lower souls? What about the 144,000 souls? He was talking about the DNA, that it had like clusters of 144,000. But what about this like 144,000 souls coming, shifting consciousness, and you said only 10,000 people would need to be fully conscious in this realm to fully shift paces? Or
you do have those magic numbers from where things suddenly get easier, but I'm not sure about the higher numbers. What I see is the 1, the 12, and the 100. This is how far I can look. The rest is mythology. I don't know if 144,000 will make a difference. It kind of sounds like, because it's 12 times 12 giving the 144.
Yeah.
So it would make sense.
In the geometry or in the chronology.
I can't sign it.
But you don't know, maybe you're within those souls or we, whatever.
I think it's more biblical, from the Bible. And I heard about the 144,000. It's about the 2 DNA strings.
I take it in a different manner. For me, it's like when I manage to fix something in myself. I know the universe is my mirror. If I fix something and it's in a completely healed state, the universe cannot reflect brokenness on me. So when I heal something in me, I fully block the universe to express brokenness, and either the brokenness is happening somewhere else to reflect the brokenness of others, or it's not possible to hide the brokenness from me, and then the universe needs to create a new timeline that is fully reflecting my state of healing. And this is basically what we observed over the last 2-3 years, that single people broke through certain qualities of healing themselves, making it impossible for the universe to take a path that was still appropriate for this state of being healed. And this was forcing the universe both to open new densities and to create new timelines, which would reflect the state of being healed and sacred and in a good state, in divine order. And this is kind of the fun of the game, that at the moment there doesn't seem to be a limit to what is doable. When I started with the spiritual work, we all were dreaming of achieving sixth density, unity consciousness. It was like, wow, look how beautiful humanity is. We're achieving this in one step, from third to sixth density. This is unique in the universe. Yeah,
so you believe in parallel timelines also, where different versions of yourself is running around making different choices, having another...
The alter ego.
It's not believing, it's well perceived.
And then with an oversoul, putting it all together.
It's well perceived, it's not a belief.
Yeah.
What do you mean? So you well perceived it?
Like, how can I give you an example of... there always was this rule of resonance. Like, I do my homework, I sort out my own traumatic events and my past lifetimes. I start to do this coaching for self-healing. And all the clients of mine are well sorted. They exactly know what they want. They come into the process, they have done their homework, and it takes like 90 minutes, and they're through and done and are in a good place. That was my experience over like 1 year. The first year I did that continuous work. All of them were in a perfect shape. If you talk to other healers that are not into self-healing, but they are into other healing,
like entity healing only, for example.
Yeah, they attract customers that want a healer, an other responsible healer that is taking the hot potatoes out of the fire for them.
Yes.
And they don't do anything themselves, and nothing works at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This is the experience I hear from others. So I had this beautiful royal flash of self-responsible people reflecting my self-responsibility back onto me. And I got used to it. And then something very beautiful happened. And kind of the timeline of that was basically derived from the fourth density, kind of the complete victimhood timeline of the lowest possible consciousness within humanity. That was basically the timeline that gave birth to that really, really evil form of Satan that just had one thing in mind: delete humanity to never come into existence at all. He tried to erase himself from the books by destroying us. Not because he was full of hate, he was full of pain and he couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to delete that pain from existence by deleting us. And he found a way to get deleted without destroying us, just by asking for mercy. And that was kind of one of those collective processes that came as an add-on to a personal healing, so we could observe that happening. Beautiful day, that was granted, and that timeline got deleted. And this was like the power that was spreading the timelines. It was creating the gap, because that was so low vibrant that it was opening up a huge space of possibilities. And the day that that one disappeared from existence, it was, when it happened, it was already in World War III. We have people who had the experience of Switzerland getting bombed by Russian airplanes, Rammstein getting bombed by Russian airplanes during their night times. Yeah, because they were...
You mean like they were sleeping and they dreamed it?
No, they were awake, but they had like a childish night fear, and that was pushing them down in vibrations, so they entered third density and experienced the World War during night time, and when they woke up, they came back to a higher consciousness, looking into the newspapers, and nothing was there. It was just like a weird dream at night, but happening during being awake.
So visions of the future.
Visions of a different timeline, swapping timelines, because it was already split.
And so what is your take on the Mandela effect then?
This is kind of coming exactly from that direction.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And the moment that this really ugly timeline was removed from existence by an act of mercy, the tension between the others disappeared. Nothing was pulling that open, and fifth and sixth density came together again. And my perception of that, kind of the confirmation that this seeing the third density disappear, or fourth density disappear, was confirmed by, from that day on, I had a complete weird mix of clients. Suddenly I had clients that said, "Hey, you want me to feel something? Are you crazy? Yeah, I'm not going there. This is inconvenient." And I went like, what the heck is happening? You know, I haven't seen these people for ages. I did not change. I didn't change my frequency, but the gap between the densities disappeared because of the lowest one wasn't pulling anymore. And so this is why I say it is confirmed by experience, that those shifts in the concept of timelines that you can perceive when you're in the right position to perceive things are absolutely real.
And this timeline, no World War III coming then? Or what is this?
At least not yet.
Voel de kracht van Simos. Ga naar mijnmineraal.com om meer te leren en te ervaren hoe Simos jouw welzijn kan transformeren.